Well, one of the things that I see that there's a strong value to those types of issues. One thing I'm not for in law enforcement, and I think, and while I don't know that it's so prevalent out in the rural communities like this, is I see a lot of these law enforcement agencies getting grants from the military for equipment, and I'm not for the militarization of police forces. I think that's a mistake. I think it separates and isolates the community from law enforcement. Law enforcement and the community should be working together as a cohesive unit, not necessarily us and them principle,
Right.
And I think people get scared to death when they see, local law enforcement's got a for all intents and purposes, and an armed personnel carrier.
Yeah, and a lot of that, it's not obtained on grants. It's government surplus that they allow any agency to get and use. And actually, when you're done with that, you have to give that back over to them for auction.
Yeah, my concern is, how often do you really need an APC?
Right. Well, right.
I mean, L.A., okay, for a bank robbery, you're going to drive through the front door and shoot it up with them or something. But I think a lot of regional communities do that.
Right, but they have a lot of equipment that's very useful in law enforcement that you couldn't otherwise
I agree.
afford to get.
There's stuff like night vision and things like that you could, the military could turn over to you that they're not actively using, that really could help you in some of the law enforcement activities that are,
right,
that are necessary. Especially with stuff like these meth labs out in the middle of the woods, and you're out there, there's a barn sitting out there, and you guys could be, sitting on the hilltop watching these guys at night when they're out there doing that, and making sure that you're getting it all on videotape so that when you finally do arrest them, you've got something to go to court with.
Exactly.
So I'm a strong believer in that. Now, I just want to jump back onto this posse thing for a minute, because to me that was such an intriguing concept. I'm a little concerned about, the city or the county getting sued for that kind of thing, and assuming for argument's sake that a guy has to take action because he's out in the community and he sees a crime in progress, let's say, right?
Right.
And I know that we live in a very litigious society, and when I was a personal trainer for firearms and things, the concept was that if the guy, if you get into a gunfight with a guy and you kill him, his family's going to sue you, and if he lives, he's going to sue you. So,
yeah, well,
either way you go, you better be justifiable in what you're going to do, than the action you're going to take. So don't be reckless with a firearm if you're a concealed carry. Just because the threat's there, you better make sure that it's a legitimate life endangering threat. I.e., this issue down with this Trayvon Martin thing, and whether you think it's race related or not or anything else, the simple facts of the case remain. This guy's being charged with second-degree murder, and regardless of what happens criminally, you can bet that his family at the end of this is going to file a civil lawsuit in the multi-millions of dollars, and they're going to name everybody. They're going to name him, but they're also going to name the law enforcement agency that didn't do the investigation the way they wanted, and everybody else. You know what I mean? It's like whoever's got the deepest pockets, right? And you know how lawyers are. They sue everybody and hope that somebody's got some money.
Well, the whole time I was with Maricopa County, we never had any instances where a posse person was involved in a shooting. I know that when they're on duty, they are covered by the sheriff's office liability-wise.
I see.
Now, unless they violate some major policy and procedure that they were trained on, then they're going to kind of leave them hanging out. But, the sheriff's office can still be sued. But those are all things, like I said, I really want to look into before I jump in with both feet and see how it's going to go. Well,
and I mean, I'm sure the laws in the state of Missouri will differ somewhat from those that were down in Arizona.
Right.
And, I think the idea of it is great, because you can help the community or integrate better with the community and work together with the community to try to achieve, some level of additional manpower that you can't really afford to pay.
Yeah, and these guys aren't all out playing cop. I mean, they get involved in a lot of community events, raising money for specific things. There's just a tons of community events and stuff that they get involved in and help out with, and I mean, when I first came on as a young deputy, I was like, crap, I got a posseman riding with me. But as a supervisor, they were such an asset because, they would secure a crime scene all night for us till we could get detectives out there.
There you go.
They would sit on a vehicle while it was, waiting for a tow truck until, put a guy back on the road. They would transport somebody to jail. A guy could be back out on the road.
Right. Now you can afford to, now you can take the guy who you are paying to actually do real law enforcement and, put off these. That's kind of like the idea of taking these guys who were sitting in jail and having them do something productive instead of just sit around and suck up resources.
Right. And in Arizona, the sheriff was in charge of search and rescue, so they were utilized a great deal with search and rescue stuff. I mean, we had, I couldn't even tell you the amount of posses they have out there, but the mounted posse, four-wheel drive posse, and they all did a specific function.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, and again, too, out there, I would imagine, you need eyes and ears, especially on border areas where, you've got this heavy influx of illegals that are pouring over the border. And so, I would imagine that, in that case, just somebody being out there to say, hey, there's a guy coming through the desert with a backpack on.
Right.
It's obvious he's not out camping,
Yeah, and although, Maricopa County wasn't on the border, but we still had our share of immigration problems.
Absolutely.
We were a dumping spot for them all to, get transferred wherever they were going to go. And a dumping spot for bodies when they didn't pay. So.
Right.
But, yeah, it's, the whole immigration thing's larger than what people imagine. And it's, when you're not safe 2 miles within the United States, there's something wrong there.
Sure.
So,
well,
I'm all for protecting our borders. And
I like the idea of the, of this posse concept. And to me, that I don't know what the legal ramifications are, but I'm sure that you will be able to work with the county, legal beagles to make sure that it's a workable solution.
I'll have to work with POST, which is the Peace Officer Training Standards Board, and see what kind of certification we can come up with through them. And they may already have one. I don't know. Like I said, it's something that I would like to research, and I think that it would be an asset.
Sure.
To the community. So.
Absolutely. Well, we've got a break coming up, and it was great to have you on the show. We certainly appreciate the fact that you've taken the time to come on with us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
You're very, very welcome. I'll give out your website again, and this way, if anyone's got any questions, they can certainly contact you directly. And make sure that they're asking those questions of the horse. Hear it from the horse's mouth, folks.
Right.
So, not that I'm calling you a horse, Wes.
No, that's okay.
So, okay, folks, we've had Wes Ellison on with us this morning. It's ellisonforsheriff.com, and also ellisonforsheriff@centurylink.net if you want to send him an email. 28 years in law enforcement, retired sergeant from the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office, 12 of that under Joe Arpaio, 7 months with the Winona Police Department in Missouri, and 3 years as a canine handler. So he's also a dog lover, I would assume. He's a member of the Constitutional Sheriff and Peace Officer Association, and it's ellisonforsheriff.com. That's with 2 L's. ELLISONFOR sheriff.com. So Wes could use your help. If you believe he's the right guy for the job, you can log on to his website. You can participate, assist him. You can donate money. You can donate time and resources. You can volunteer, put up a sign in your front yard, lick envelopes, lick stamps, envelopes too for that matter, and kind of give him a hand getting ready for the August 7th primaries. So thank you again, Wes. It was a pleasure to have you on here.
Thank you.
And hopefully you'll be able to garner some. At least this gives the general public an opportunity to kind of hear from you exactly what your thoughts are without the 30-second elevator speech.
Right.
All right.
I appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
We appreciate you.